Hey everybody, what's up? It's Becca. I'm here today enjoying a Guinness milkshake that I made for myself, and because I don't have anything else to do, making another video. So I just thought that I would talk about the worst movies that I've ever seen, period, that I can remember at least. And this is interesting, I guess, maybe not to anyone else, but I've kept just about, I don't want to drop them. I've kept just about every ticket stub that I can remember from like 2009 until now, so about 11 years. All of my Twilight tickets are in there. Water for Elephants is in there. A lot of different stuff. So this is just going to be just in no particular order, just kind of rattling off the worst movies that I've seen and why I thought they were so bad. Now before we get started, y'all know that I love a so bad it's good movie. I really do. And so I'm going to rattle off a quick honorable mentions that are like dastardly, god-awful, terrible films that I love so much. So for starters, of course, we have The Room. That's the obvious one. If you've never sat through The Room, it's a test of endurance. It really is, especially when the same scene happens for like the 7th time. But it is worth it alone for that scene in the alleyway where that one guy goes, me underwears, and then they like touch him on the shoulder and he literally falls over. The Adventures of Food Boy. This was one of Lucas Grable's first movies after High School Musical was over. It's so bad. You've probably seen the meme where he's like hunkered in the corner of a bathroom surrounded by toast. So he plays this boy who's like running for student council, and he finds out that he can shoot food like out of his hands. It's like a family superpower. It's only funny for like the first 30 minutes when he keeps having mishaps and like shooting cold cuts out of his hands and being like, why do my hands smell like peanut butter? And then they actually go into like the lore of the Food Boy thing, and it gets boring from there. Showgirls. Again, one of the most famous bad movies of all time. Pool scene. That's all I'll say. So I ordered my first DVD copy of Showgirls from Amazon the other day because I wanted the commentary track. I've heard it's really good. My mom was like, Amazon sent me a warning that you ordered porn. And I was like, well, kind of. And last but certainly not least, we have the 2019 film Cats. It's so bad, but it's so fun. One of the last things I did before quarantine, I saw the midnight showing of Cats at the Bell Court. I got my face painted. It was such a good time. It was the night that daylight savings time switched over, so at 3 a.m. technically we're all in the theater screaming our lungs out for Skimbleshanks, the Railway Cat. You can't watch that movie alone. You really shouldn't, for your own mental health. Alright, let's get into the ones that are just actually bad, that I don't think have that many redeemable qualities. We'll talk about why. Let's get to the first one I can remember seeing, which is Disney's The Wild. This is the movie where Disney ripped off Finding Nemo and Madagascar and Lion King and like 7 other movies. Okay, let me take a drink real quick. Woo! So fun fact about me, when I was a kid up until I was like maybe in high school, if I went to the theater and somebody paid for me to see a movie, I would be horrified to not enjoy it. So in my head I would be like, no, you liked the movie. Like, it doesn't matter if it was bad, it doesn't matter if it was terrible. And so I walked out of The Wild and I was like, oh my god, I love that movie. And I named my Build-A-Bear koala Nigel after the koala from that movie. Revisited it on Disney Channel not too long ago because I saw the like trailer and I was like, oh, there's a couple jokes in that trailer. The movie's probably funny. It's not. It's really bad. I remember reading a review in the like Tennessee newspaper about how bad it was and I was like, ah, whatever. The next one I can remember is Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium. I don't really remember what's bad about it. I just know that this is the only movie I've ever walked out on. My friends and I that I saw it with left about halfway through and we snuck into B Movie, which was playing in the adjacent theater, and we watched the tennis scene of B Movie. And then I was like, the police are gonna come catch us. And they were like, fine, you square. I just remember that movie being extraordinarily boring. This is one that I don't remember seeing other than like a minute or two of a flash in my head because I was very young. But my dad says that this is the worst movie he's ever seen. And he's still mad at me for making him go. And I've tried to watch it on Netflix and I just can't do it. It's the live action Roberto Benigni Pinocchio. I know that this movie like almost single-handedly killed his career. Like, he won an Oscar for Life is Beautiful and then was like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna make a really bad movie. I truly don't remember much of anything about it. Next is The Kitchen. So I went and saw this after I missed my flight coming home from New York for my birthday this year, and me and my 2 best friends went and saw it because we were like, oh, the trailers look badass, all the actresses are good, it'll be good. No, the plot is so bad. It's about like 3 mob wives who decide to take over their husband's business in Hell's Kitchen when all the husbands go to jail. They play Fleetwood Mac's The Chain at least 3 times in that movie. Elizabeth Moss is so bad in it. Like, oh my god, she's so bad in it. So is Tiffany Haddish. They reveal like a twist that Tiffany Haddish was the villain the whole time. And the way that they edit it with the shots, you know that the filmmakers were like, oh my god, this is gonna snatch everybody bald. And we were just laughing. Oh my god, it was so bad. Heartthrob. This is a Netflix movie that I watched one time and actually did make a review of with a friend that I no longer have, so I never edited or posted it. It's got Claire Gilchrist in it, who's like from Atypical, and it's kind of a funny story. So like a good actor. It's about like the high school hoe, essentially. Gets together with like the Princeton bound nerdy guy, but like surprise, he's a psycho killer. And he starts stabbing all their best friends after they have sex in a pool. He ends up dying, and the whole time it cuts back and forth to her sitting in this roller rink, barefoot for some freaking reason. Like, out of all the places to be barefoot, a roller rink is like last on the list. And I guess she broke in to sit on the roller rink and talk to no one about her dead boyfriend, who she thought was a stalker when he was alive, but now that he's dead, she like wishes that she'd said she loved him. And that final monologue, it's so gross. If it's still on Netflix, I definitely don't recommend watching it at all. Sinister 2. Love James Ransone, obviously. He played Eddie in It Chapter 2. He did a great job. He was good in the first Sinister as well. This one's just really bad. It's all jump scares. The kid actors are not that great. It was rough. I mean, it's a rough horror sequel, what can I tell you? Truth or Dare. So this was one of the first movies that I took myself to see after I got my Movie Pass. I'll rope this one in with Jigsaw, because Jigsaw is the reason that I got Movie Pass. Why did... Movie Pass, we're out of business. Essentially invited myself to go see Jigsaw with some friends, and it was terrible. And I was leaving the theater like, I wish I didn't have to pay $12.99 for people to like me. What if there was another way? And then I found out about MoviePass. When MoviePass was like still in her prime before she shit the bed, I would just take myself to see movies all the time. I saw Truth or Dare, not because I thought it was gonna be good, just because it was something to do. It was so boring and not scary. There was a baby in the theater, and the baby did not cry one time. Lucy Hale's a god-awful actress. She's gonna keep getting god-awful movies like this. The ending of it was not, they don't figure out a way to beat it in any way. She just gets on YouTube and makes a video and asks the whole world truth or dare, just so that the game gets bigger. And now there's like 1,000 people playing instead of 5, so they have more time before they die, I guess. So if you're watching this, truth or dare. I'm kidding. I shouldn't have done that. Ma! This movie's a meme more than it is a movie, and I do have to acknowledge that. I like the meme, but the movie itself was really not good. And I know somebody who was in it too. He was the younger version of the boy that Ma loves. I'm having a really hard time remembering it because it was, I've been through a lot since I saw that movie. Octavia Spencer needs to do better. She's done a lot of garbage. The Boy Next Door. Okay, I don't know if some of y'all remember this. This was a J-Lo movie. It came out like early 2015. The whole movie is like Jennifer Lopez is screwing one of her son's friends. She's a teacher. She's doing a student. You know, the classic romantic comedy trope. Illegal love. We love it. So there's a line where the boy next door comes over and he's like, ugh, I love your mother's cookies. And he's like taking a cookie, but it's like a double entendre. And I was like, this is comedy. And then the friend that I mentioned prior, that I made the review of Heartthrob with, that is no longer in my life, she went to see the movie with us because she thought it was like gonna be an actually legitimately good movie. And it's things like that that you look back on and you're like, wow, that was a red flag. But it didn't even end up being so bad it was good. It was just really, really bad. Kristen Chenoweth's dead body falls out of the ceiling at one point. I don't want to say Jennifer Lopez needs to stop acting because she crushed it in Hustlers last year, but like, woo! Okay, speaking of movies about the boys, The Boy. The first one, I didn't see the second one, I'm sure it was worse. So The Boy, if you don't already know, is about this little doll that moves around the house and they're like, oh, it's the spirit of some child who died or something. Psych, plot twist, spoiler I guess if you give a shit. Brahms is just a really nasty man-child who lives in the wall. And he crawls out and he's wearing a mask and he screams at the end of the movie and just It was like fine up until that point, but it was one of those that the ending just really took a big shit all over everything. God's Not Dead 1 and 3. I'm gonna throw 2 in there. I haven't seen it. I'm sure it's bad. If you listen to my podcast, Youth Group Survivor Support Group, we've talked about this a little bit. They're just poorly made. The acting is bad. The racial representation is horrible. There's one Asian character in the God's Not Dead franchise that never changes his clothes and doesn't speak English very well. And there's also like a man from the Congo that talks in a very stereotypical accent and is like, take me to Disney World, and then he dies in a church fire in the third one. These are on the list mostly because they're horrible, but also because in God's Not Dead 3, this is another movie I saw when I had Movie Pass, to avoid getting copywritten by the soda companies, there's a scene where the preacher is like pouring a soda, and he takes it down and puts his hands over the label, and then he pours it like in such a weird way so that none of the labels show and all the things are like facing backwards on the top of the fridge. And it's just like, you couldn't even get like the like you couldn't even get the Kmart brand like Dr. Poopadoop Doop to sponsor you. Like you have to, good lord. Adore! This movie is a movie that I really wanted to like because it's, I'm not gonna say that the cinematography is really good. It's just shot in a very beautiful like beach location. It's Robin Wright and Naomi Watts? I almost said Naomi Smalls. That's not correct. It's two mothers who start screwing each other's sons. That's the plot. And it's a terrible plot, and it's not a good movie. Kaboom! Okay, Juno Temple is a really underrated actress. I love her in a lot of things. This movie had me. It was fine. It's literally only here because the ending, it's like the end of the world and somebody's trying to stop somebody from ending the world and they have this big red end of the world button and the guy just goes, meh, and pushes it and the world explodes. And it ends. That's kind of funny. Maybe I'll give that one a pass. Escape from Tomorrow. If you don't know about this is a fascinating story. So this film crew went into Disneyland and Disney World for days on end and shot this whole movie guerrilla style on like their iPhones and completely got past park security and made this really, I can't even call it a story because it doesn't have one, but it's kind of about this family at Disney World and the dad's a creep and he follows these French girls around and then one of them spits in his face and he gets a virus. Topical. He gets a virus and then he's like under Epcot and there's this science lab and this guy's like, you have an imagination. Bye, I guess. And then he wakes up the next morning and he's dead and his son's like, I don't give a crap. I'm a sociopath in the making. I don't know what the point of the movie was supposed to be other than just to get away with shooting at Disney World. There's still a counter on their website of like days we haven't been sued by Disney. And it's been years since this thing came out, so it's probably up there by now, but Disney was probably like, okay. There's a review of this movie on YouTube. I can't remember who does it, but it's really, really funny. I'll post a link in the description. The Strangers Pray at Night. It's really not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's just a spit in the face of The Strangers, which is my favorite scary movie of all time. If you haven't seen The Strangers, I definitely recommend it. It is pants-pissingly terrifying. I always have friends that will watch it like behind a pillow. They won't look at the screen a single time. And then at the end of the movie, they'll go, that was so good. And I'm like, sis, how did you know you didn't watch the movie? But don't watch the sequel. I don't recommend. Show Dogs. This is a movie that feels like it should have come out in 2003 and been straight to DVD and been called Snow Dogs. Somehow it got a big screen release in 2018. Me and my friend Mary Elizabeth saw this with our Movie Pass just for shits and giggles, and it was real bad. Howard the Duck. Obviously another one of the most classic bad movies of all time. I just don't think it's so bad it's good. It's just really bad. It's one of those ones that you watch like 20-minute reviews of on YouTube, like Nostalgia Critics Review, or like you listen to the How Did This Get Made episode on with Kristen Shaw, which I highly recommend, both the podcast and that episode. I need to stop doing this. Why am I doing this so much? Ooh. My ears are getting hot. At one point, a guy goes, that's a duck, man! And like, Howard tries to sleep with a woman. You get 20 minutes into it and you realize that it's actually insufferably terrible. What are these called? I don't know what these are called. I'm just putting them in here because they're like mini movies. There's these videos that I had to watch in like 6th grade when I was a kid. One of them is about salmonella, and one of them is about getting stung by a bee when you have a bee allergy. And they're both just really poorly acted, like hammy videos to like teach you about germs in the body or whatever. And the one where the guy gets salmonella traumatized me. Irrationally afraid of getting salmonella. I was so afraid of it. To the point that like my friends would just scream the word salmonella in my face and I would freak out a little bit. It's about this British guy and I think his name is Mike. His wife cooks chicken and it's pink in the middle and he eats it anyway. And then at his photography job, he's taking a picture of a baby, starts puking his guts out, and then he goes home and just shits a lot. And then his wife knocks on the door and goes, "Mike, was it the chicken?" And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then the other one's about this dumb bitch named Phoebe who's allergic to bees but like doesn't have her EpiPen with her, so she just sweats profusely. I'll link those as well if for some reason you want to check them out. They're kind of silly, but you know, they are for kids' science classes, so I would recognize that if you're gonna watch them. So last but certainly not least, Gooby. If you were friends with me in college, you know about Gooby. Gooby, I'm saying it like June does on the How Did This Get Made episode. That's another one to check out. It's got Nathan Fielder on it. He's a great dude. Gooby! Gooby is about this little boy who's got a teddy bear, and the teddy bear comes to life and has the voice of Hagrid, and Eugene Levy is in it, and it's just a shit show. It's one of those movies that I like had seen the trailer for as a kid and was like, did this exist or am I just crazy? Looked it up, found that it existed, ordered the DVD on Amazon, made a big deal about it, watched the DVD, movie was worse than I thought it was gonna be. I still have the DVD. It's part of my personality. Gooby is like a whole thing for me, but it's really bad. I don't know what else to say about it. At one point, Gooby is eating all these hot dogs and he goes, "What, have you never seen a hot dog before, Willie?" And it's just, yeah, the kid's name is Willie too, so it's like, woohoo! 2 penis jokes in one. You could watch Gooby if you wanted to, I guess. I don't think it's the worst idea ever. So that is all the time that I have, I believe, before my camera dies. Gonna do some quick plugs. I will put in the description a couple of donation things. My GoFundMe for Third Coast Comedy Club is up and running. Donate to that if you want to see me walk my cat for a mile or wear my Pennywise costume on stage or a whole host of other things. I will also put some links for Black Lives Matter and protests and all that stuff related donations as well. Check out Youth Group Survivor Support Group. If I think of anything else, I'll throw it up in the description. Stay safe, stay woke, get your ass out there and protest, and I will see you later. Cheers, babe. Woo!